Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Wow, just let me say, great book. Great book. Now, you have me answering these questions, but I can't read the questions and then answer it. That's whatever. You're weird. But anyway, let's get into this. The incidents in his life. How does he handle them? Very interesting. In my opinion, he doesn't handle them very well, actually. Kind of just ignores them or just kind of shoves them to the side. Kind of just deals with them like on his own. He doesn't, talk to anybody with them. He just kind of shoves them down, pushes his feelings down, just piles them one on top of the other. It's crazy. You're not supposed to do that. It's very unhealthy, actually. But nice fucking. I'll just bleep that out. I don't care. I don't think you care either. How could he avoided all these incidents? Like I said, talking to someone about them. You can't just keep your feelings down, deep. You can't just keep shoving them down. You gotta let them out. You gotta talk to people about it. You could have talked to his parents, or you could have talked to his friends, or even his wife. But that gets into my other, is it even possible to avoid all of them? And no, because his parents were very distant. He didn't really talk to them. Like, when he did, they always, I don't know how to explain it. They were just very distant. He always wanted to do what they wanted for him. He didn't do what he wanted to do himself. When he went to college, he wanted to go to Brown to get his athletic, he played soccer, so he wanted to, use the athletic scholarship he got, but no, his dad's like, oh, you better get your academic scholarship and go to Middlebury. He only wanted to go to Middlebury because that's where his parents went, and and he also didn't have any friends to talk to, so it's kind of hard to talk to your friends when you have none. All throughout school and pretty much his whole life, he didn't really have anybody. Claudine, I don't really think she was a friend, really. Nah. The people he worked with, God, he couldn't talk to them about it, because what would they do? They wouldn't care. And, his wife, I don't think, that was a very unhealthy marriage, in my opinion. I don't know, when he was getting the training to when he was becoming in EHM with Claudine, he said that, they just grew apart, and, they moved, she moved out, and they were living in separate apartments, and so they were still married, but I don't think they talked to each other at all, for what was clear, until, they got divorced. Who influenced all the choices in his life? Going back to his parents. Obviously, big choice to where he went to school. Farhad, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I'm not from that region, so I wouldn't know. His big influence on him when he drops out of Middlebury, and that was a big choice. Uncle Frank, big. I don't know his real. I don't think he ever said his real name. That's just you think you married her? You married his niece. I think you should know his real name. But anyway, Uncle Frank, big influence on him when he decided to go to the Peace Corps instead of getting the job at the NSA. Uncle Frank, he went to Uncle Frank about it, and Uncle Frank told him yeah, you should definitely do it. Very good opportunity. Uncle Frank even called it. You're gonna get hired by a private corporation. You're gonna become an economic hitman. So that's cool. Whatever, Frank. The people he works with, mainly the people he meets when he's out working. So when he's in Indonesia or Colombia or Ecuador, when he meets the people living there, he just gets connected to them, and that really affects all his choices. Big influence on his choices. And I just said how. Number 5, how basically did they affect his parents, dropping out of school, going to school, Frank going, getting the job in Maine and becoming an economic hitman. And Claudine was a big influence at that point. So yeah. Choices that he could have done differently. You could pick every choice he's ever made in the book and say he could have done it differently. Dropping out of school, first of all, going to Brown instead of Middlebury, dropping out of Middlebury, going to the Peace Corps instead of going to the NSA. He battles with the choices he makes as an economic hitman. But his choices end up getting very making him very successful. So if he did change the choices that he made as an EHM, like I don't know if he would have been as successful. His personal relationships in Colombia, I don't think he should have got. I don't think he should have got attached to the people where he goes. That's just not right. You're trying to work there. You're trying to do what you have to do, and you know what you're doing is not good. So don't get attached to the people. You're using the country for its resources to better the economy in your country. And just don't get connected to the people. It's just a big, bad, very bad thing. I was gonna say something about the hostage situation at the embassy, but he didn't really choose to be there. Well, he chose to fly there. But you can't really place that on him. It does. That sends him into sends him in a very bad depression later on. So makes him do more choices that I don't know, kind of against. Divorcing his wife, Anne, like I believe that. He gets a divorce. His first wife. And I believe I agree with that. Okay, wasn't a very healthy relationship. He quits his job in Maine, which I think, I don't know, morally, yeah, good job, but like as a career decision, that's probably stupid. You're making bank there. You're very good at it. He creates his own company, IPS, making freaking, I don't know, what was it? Clean electricity or whatever. Not clean, that doesn't make sense, but like environmental friendly electricity for the countries and whatever. That's a good. He accepts the bribes. Like when he decides he wants to write this book about the EHMs, he accepts the bribes and he just takes the threats from the people, like to not write it. I think that's stupid. You should just, when you said that you wanted to write it, you want to get these secrets out there, you gotta just write it. Don't listen to anyone else. Listen to your heart for once, man. Come on. Then he finally, he decided not to write. He went to Ecuador, back to Ecuador with some native, took some North Americans with him, went through the Amazon. 9/11 happened, so he went back home, visited Ground Zero. Then that's when he vowed he will write the book, and then he travels back to Ecuador, and he writes his book. So it's all the choices he made. He could have done all of them differently, probably. Like I said, like you name all the big choices in his life, and he probably could have done it differently. But is it possible for like one person to make such a big influence on the world? And obviously, yeah, it's a stupid question. Like I just read a book about it. Like, he was wildly successful. I mean, he I think it said somewhere he was the youngest executive in Maine's 100-year history, very successful, made a bunch of money for him and his company, changed the world, changed Indonesia, changed Ecuador. Everywhere he went, he changed the place. So yeah, like one person can change the world like that. Now let's talk about the banking crisis. Was he at fault? Yes and no. I believe if it wasn't him, then it would have been someone else. He just had the job, like, so he was gonna do it. So if he didn't take the job all the way back when Uncle Frank said go to the Peace Corps and he didn't get hired by Maine, I think it would have just been someone else. And so you can't really blame him personally, but you can blame the people who made him do it, kind of the people above him. But yeah, I guess it's his fault. I don't know, I think he's really hard on himself, though. I don't think he should like take it so personally. Like, he knew it was wrong, and even he knew it was wrong, but he still did it because he had to. It was his job, so he couldn't just say no and not do it. But he was very hard on himself. He just felt guilty, and he just felt the regret from doing it. And I don't blame him. Like, I would too. Overall, I thought the book was a good book. Usually when I read books, I hate reading. I get bored. I don't see the fun in it. If you like reading books, good for you. But I just don't get into it. And like, this book was different. Like, it kept me interested. Like, I got scared because he said he got threats for writing it, and he didn't. Like, in the beginning, like, he said they're gonna come for him, and I'm like, well, why would I want to read this book if knowing the secrets could get me in trouble? It could get him in trouble and get me in trouble. Like, I don't know, but probably thousands of people have read it, and no one in black suits have come to my door yet, so that's good. All right, I'm done.